Do you feel dependent on your wife for affection, attention, intimacy, sex, connection, mental stimulation, emotional connection and stimulation, physical affection, physical stimulus? Hi, I'm Charlie McKeever, your Happy Man coach, and of course you do. Of course you do. Because we came into this world dependent on others. But that's not how we are supposed to live our life. We're not supposed to live our life dependent on others. We can be interdependent on others, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but we're not supposed to live the entirety of our life dependent on others. In fact, once we move beyond the dependent phase of our life, we're supposed to go into learning how to be an independent person, an independent man, where we own our choices, we own our desire, we own our life, we own ourselves. Right? We're curious about ourselves. We value ourselves enough to get to know ourselves, that we know what we like and what we don't like, and what we want and what we don't want, and what we agree to and what we don't agree to, right? What our boundaries are, our healthy sense of self, our self-respect, our self-confidence, our self-trust, our self-love, our self-care, our self-esteem, right? Our self-reliance. We're not meant to live our life entirely dependent. Now, we come into the world dependent because we're dependent on someone for food and protection and care. The care part is we need them to change our diaper, right? We need them to rock us to sleep and make sure that we're healthy. And we learn to interact from the inside, right? We're on the inside looking out, and we learn to be dependent on these other people. We learn to cry, we learn to get our needs met. And along the way, throughout childhood, we are dependent. We're dependent on our parents for food and shelter and safety and acceptance and care and love and all of these things. And unfortunately, not all of our experiences are great in those areas. And a lot of times we don't have the information we need to make sense of everything. And so some of the things that we experience in our childhood, we normalize. We have to make okay so that we can stay connected to our source of. And so we wind up learning how to kind of live in this place of dependency and also kind of keep ourselves attached to something that's not working for us, right? Something that it may not be healthy for us. That we haven't learned to really have a full sense of self and to set healthy boundaries for ourselves, because that's really where we're supposed to do. We're supposed to leave that dependency and grow into a space where we're self-sufficient, where we're self-reliant. Not isolated, not an island, right? But be able to be, what I said earlier, maybe be interdependent on someone. Interdependency is different than dependency. Interdependency is you can be in a relationship with someone and they can call you up, maybe your wife calls you up and says, hey, on your way home from work, stop by the store and pick up some milk. We're almost out. And you agree. You say, yeah, okay, sure, I can do that. Because that's something that's mutually beneficial, right? You have a healthy relationship with another person, and you have an interdependency. When you're sick or your wife is sick, you care for each other, right? This is interdependency. But when we get to a space where we say, you know what, I am dependent on this other person for my happiness. I'm dependent on this other person to value me, to demonstrate my value and worth to me, because I don't really believe that I'm valuable and worthy, that I look outside of me to see if other people's actions tell me that I'm valuable and worthy. And I'm sort of surprised by it each time they do, because I don't really know that I'm valuable and worthy. That I have this emotional dependency on these other people to care about me, right? To respect me, to trust me, to value me. And the problem with that is that when they don't, we feel very hurt. We feel very let down. We start to question our value and worth. We start to question ourselves. And it leaves us in a place normalizing this behavior, this experience that we're having, in order to try to stay connected to our source of, just like when we were in our childhood, right? We take our coping mechanisms from childhood and we drag them into our adult life. And we're making someone else responsible for our happiness, for our well-being, for our sense of fulfillment, right? And that's starting to drag us down. Now we're starting to get into arguments with them. We're starting to tell them how they disappoint us, that how we disapprove of how they're going about, making us happy. We start trying to demand from them things that they don't necessarily want to give. And even if they did want to give them, nobody wants to have those things extracted from them. Nobody wants to have those things demanded of them. They should be given freely, not coerced. And so people start to resist this. They start to say, well, I don't want to, right? Like, you're trying to control me. I don't like that that the way that you talked to me, that the way that you talk about me. This feels very unloving. And so now what happens is you have two people who are in pain. Two people who are in so much pain that their pain is so loud that they can't hear each other. All they're doing is pointing fingers at each other and telling how both of them how they're not doing it right. And neither one of them are happy. And so this is where we find ourselves when we live in this story of dependency, where we think that other people should make us happy. Now, we can be with people who have our interests at heart, who are interested in our happiness. We have people who care about us, love us, value us, people who want to see us succeed, right? We can be in a healthy relationship, but anytime that we're demanding that from those people or making them responsible, solely responsible, they're the sole source of that. We're not even trying to do that for ourselves. That's when things get sideways. That's when things get distorted, and that's where a lot of pain starts to crop up and relationships start to break down. They start to erode. And we're living in the story of dependency. And what we want to move into is we want to move into a place where we know that we're okay, where we know that we have personal power, where we have choice, where we have agency, where we can make choices for ourselves based on what's important to us, based on who we want to be in the world, that we're not giving to get, that our love isn't transactional, that we're not dependent on this other person because somehow if they do, then we're worthy, and if they don't, then we're not. We really want to live in this place where we're fully alive, fully own ourselves, and we're fully happy and fulfilled. So, if you find yourself in this place of dependency, if you find yourself in this place of pain, if you find yourself telling your partner how they're not doing it right, how they're not doing enough, how they're disappointing you, they're displeasing you, how their behavior is hurting you, and you're not in this place of self-ownership, of really being able to know that you have desires and you own those desires and you know that those desires are okay, and you show up and support the fulfillment of those desires, not by demanding it from somebody else, but by making it possible for yourself, allowing it to be possible for yourself, then I want to talk to you, right? We need to talk. We need to talk. We need to unravel this hairball. We need to really dig in and surface the beliefs that you hold about yourself, the stories that you tell yourself, where your energy is focused. Are you externally dependent? Do you feel powerless? Do you feel trapped? Do you feel dependent on another person for your happiness? If you do, let's talk. Let's unravel this hairball together. I guarantee you, after our phone call, you will feel stronger. You'll feel clear. You'll feel more confident. You'll have more insight into where you are and where you're going and what you want for yourself and how to accomplish it. And it doesn't have to mean the end of your marriage. It doesn't have to mean that you blow everything up. It just means that you take ownership of yourself, that you give yourself permission to live your life and to be who you enjoy being. And I guarantee you that when you do that, people will change outside of you, because we are always giving a version of ourselves to other people and we don't realize it. We're either giving a sad, depressed, choiceless, powerless, angry, upset version of ourselves, confused, frustrated to other people, or we're giving a version of ourselves that's happy and whole and healthy and knows that we have choices and enjoys who we're being and is excited about life and isn't dependent on anybody else for that. So, happymancoaching.com, schedule that free coaching call with me. Let's talk about what's going on. Let's get you on a different path to experiencing something new in your life so that you can enjoy your life and other people can enjoy you too. All right, brother, that's what I have for you today. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.